You're thinking about buying, selling, or holding property in the Orlando area in 2026, this video might change the way you approach that. In 2026, I'm going to share with you my 3 predictions and my 2 tips that could save you some money as well as make you some money. So stay tuned. Hey, everybody, Tim Veigle here, Watson Realty, coming to you from sunny Orlando, Florida area. And today is my day that I'm going to share my 3 predictions. Now I don't have a crystal ball, but sometimes I use the data and I try to create a crystal ball to tell you where I see the market could be going based off the data of the past. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. We're about to find out. Now, I'm also going to share with you the 2 tips that you don't want to miss. So stay tuned to the end because the last tip I think is going to make you a lot of money. So let me share my screen with you and we'll get this ball on the road. All right, here's my trusty PowerPoint for y'all. And, again, 3 bold predictions, 2 tips. Let's go out there and let's win that market. All right. So, first bold prediction, the great condo exodus. If you currently living in a condo, you own a condo, I see the condo market shifting a lot, and it's not going to be for the better financially. So which is where this is coming from. I think we're going to see a lot more condo sales in the future. I think we're going to see people wanting to get out. I think condos are going to have a harder time selling because of that. So in 2024 for Orange and Seminole Counties, total sold condos were 2825. Median sales price was 206, and we had 1,703 expired or withdrawals. Last year, 2025, for Orange Seminole County, we had a total of 2,402 sold, so less sold. Median sales price was $190,000, and then expired, withdrawn, and canceled was 2,452. So a lot of expired condos. And currently, getting into 2026, we have 1,450 condos on the market between these 2 counties, which, if you're doing your math right, that's about half the amount we sold in 2024. So if these sold, we're already at 50%. Now, the real question is, why is it like this? Tim, why do you think condos are going to be like this? Well, here, let me share with you. So this is happening all based off of the crash of the condo down in Miami, the collapse. Because of that, what has happened is condos have gotten a little more stringent. The reason that building collapsed is their board were not financially secure and they weren't spending money. They were being frugal with their money. And because of the wear and tear on the building and not really taking care of it properly, the condo crashed. So that signaled a big point for the state of Florida to where legislators got involved. And what's happening is they're now requiring them to do reserve studies. If they're close to the water, there's certain requirements they have to do, intergenerational structural requirements. It all depends on how tall your buildings are. So all the condos in the state are trying to meet all these state mandates from legislatures. So because they're trying to legislate and fix the condo issue, so we don't have that collapse and that crisis that we did down in Miami. Because of this, when they're doing the reserve studies, a lot of people are finding out in those units, we're not financially secure. So now they're going to have to fix the issues they found, and they're going to have to make sure their reserve study is up to date and they've got enough reserves to hold out. Doing so is now causing it to where the burden comes on the homeowners in there. So you have people that buy condos, they don't want to take care of anything, they're not that expensive, they're simple fees. And well, suddenly there's condos I've seen in the Casselberry area for $1,000 a month. So you tell me, $1,000 a month, that's like a mortgage payment for some. And then some people, most people in condos, it's a higher concentration of cash payments because lenders don't even want to lend on them because of the risk of what could happen. So it's making homeowners want to move out. Um, there's several new laws that will be taking effect in 2026. And going into the upcoming legislative session, there is a chance there's more coming down the pipe. We've already seen somewhere it's limiting the control of HOAs, which will also affect other developments. But, this is all moving pretty fast. Um, and I think we're going to still see this spike. We're going to see more people wanting to get out of condos. Now, the ideal condo owner is going to be a cash buyer and potentially someone that's either not living there or wants to rent it out. Um, Almost treating it like a hotel. I think that's going to be the lucrative play for most condos going forward. So, but that's my bold prediction number one. Bold prediction two, affordability will improve. I think housing affordability will slightly move into a better trend in the area. Now, there's a lot of key factors, and we might not fully see this would take effect until 2027. Um, there's a lot of items coming up in 2026 that could impact the housing market. One is improved interest rates. As the year went on, the interest rates did improve a lot. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but it felt like a lot from a realtor standpoint because we were ending the year at one of the lowest points that we've had all year, equaling some of the lowest points in 2024. So that's a good thing. Once we got to that point with listings and buyers, I started seeing an uptick in my business that fourth quarter of 2025. And now going into the year, I know based off the December discussion, everyone in the Fed was it was a mixed bag of, are we going to lower the rates? Are we not going to lower the rates? They ended up lowering it a quarter basis points. Will they lower it more? They imply that that will not be happening in the future, anytime soon or in the near future. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of political pressure to lower the interest rates. The current chair of the Fed, his term is up in April. So unless he gets renewed and stays on, he's out. That leaves the president to appoint someone else. Because the president wants the rates lower, I think that they're going to end up putting someone in place that's going to be pushed for lower rates. So with that being said, I do think the first quarter, I'm not sure we're going to have a rate drop. If we do, it might be 1/4 point based off the economic data coming in. But I do think as the year goes on, in the set quarter two and quarter three, that we're going to see a few more rate drops, possibly getting us down to 5.5 to 6 instead of the 6.25 that we're at now, six to 6.25. So, and I think with those rate drops from the federal fund, that we're going to just see the market and the interest rates go down. Other thing that could impact it is I think that we're starting to see a stabilization in homeowners insurance, and I think insurance is starting to slowly tick down a little bit. Legislation years ago have been putting things in place to hopefully reduce insurance. And I think this year we might start seeing that trend a little bit, not a lot. It's not going to be substantial, but I do think that it could start happening. And part of the reason is because I haven't had a major storm in a couple years. Other factors, I mean, knock on wood, last year was quiet. Hopefully this year will be quiet too. And that's going to affect that rate for us. There's even already rumors I heard because of lack of storms that Duke Energy is going to be dropping rates a little bit come March. That's what I saw. I'm definitely holding out for that. And then the big X factor is going to be the reduction of property tax. Will we have property tax? Will we not? What will it look like? I don't know. There's 10 to 15 different items of what could be proposed. to go on the ballot in November. The way that it's going to work is the legislature is going to work through some things and they're going to figure out what they want on the ballot. Then they're going to put it on the ballot. And when they put it on the ballot, then it's voted on in November and it needs a 60% chance to vote. Um, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but things I've heard is if you're 65 and older, then you wouldn't have to pay local property tax. I've heard if you're only homesteaded, you don't have to pay property tax. So there's several different angles that this could go in. But if all three of these do hit, affordability is going to start coming down a little bit. And people are going to be in better positions with their real estate. I'm not saying it's going to be some drastic drop. And I mean, this is a tough one because everyone wants it to be more affordable. But at the same time, you got to be cautious because you got people that own the home that you don't want them to go upside down. I do think we're going to see an uptick in short sales and foreclosures. I'm already starting to feel a little bit of it out there in the market, especially with different buyers and sellers that I've talked to. Now, if you look at it, just looking at the data, 2023, we had 194 between Seminole and Orange County. 170 in 2024, jumped up to 182 in 2025. Just to put this in perspective, in 2016, we had 4,000 sold that year. So we're a far cry off from a crisis that the market's going to tell you. But do I think we're going to start seeing a lot more come on the market? And could we triple, quadruple these numbers in the upcoming years? Maybe even this year? Yes. Because I think what happened is in 2020, 2021, 2022, the market was moving too fast. There was too much money being influxed into the market. People were spending, people were buying on debt because the interest rates were low. People are in extreme debt right now, and something's got to give. There's only so much you can keep going before you have either a mental breakdown, a personal breakdown, a financial breakdown. And I think there's some people that are in trouble that won't be able to dig themselves out of the hole. And that's going to cause foreclosures and short sales to uptick to possibly 3 times what we're seeing. So still not a crisis. It's moving more towards normal, what you would expect on there. All right. Tip number 1. So this is the tip. If you haven't done this, you really need to. Planning for the future. As my first line in here says, life comes at you fast. So it feels like yesterday I was in high school. Now I'm definitely not in high school. I got a family. I'm out here working hard, raising a son, coming home to my wife. But, the thing is, you got to plan for the future, because before you know it, you don't want to be someone that you didn't plan for the future and now you're not really set. And it's pretty much you got to work till you die. You want to be able to enjoy your older years. So you should do a life review. What does your financial standing look like? Are you ready for retirement if it was to happen tomorrow? Are you ready for an evolving world? The world is changing. Just look over your current lifespan. If you look over mine, like in the 80s, we had cassette tapes. You move to CDs, and now no one buys CDs. That's an obsolete business. And everyone just pretty much streams their data. Same thing with videos and movies. Identical. It's like you don't have to go to a movie store. I remember going to a movie store. And I think things are going to pick up a lot more than most expect, primarily because of AI. Artificial intelligence, I think, is going to revolutionize the world in something that we can't even envision what it's like right now. And I think you're going to have 3 types of people in there. You're going to have the early adopters that are gung-ho, want to get involved in AI, and everything they do is with AI. Then you're going to have the reluctant adopters who are going to sit there and they're going to be like, I'll use it, but I'm not going to fully use it to its full extent because it scares me. And then you're going to have the naysayers that's like, I don't believe in AI. I'm not going to use AI. I will not fall for it. Problem with the naysayers are they're the ones at the greater risk. Because if you don't future-proof your life from AI is going to revolutionize you. You're not going to have the life that you currently have. You need to be prepared. Things are coming at you fast. Um, Even look at the real estate market. I can't even imagine being a realtor where you get a book weekly showing you the MLS listings. And now it's like I literally had a listing go live for me on New Year's Eve at 12:30 at night. And it was distributed amongst people, and I'm getting showing requests already. So things are moving fast, and you either need to get out of the way or hop on the train. And my recommendation is for you so that you can live the life you want to as you get older with grandkids, then get on the train and figure it out now so that you're not wondering what happened 30 years from now. Uh, Tip number two, get ready. This one's going to be a woozy. This is the year to buy. So if you're renting, you should buy. If you're thinking of investments, you should buy. I think this year is the ground floor of the next real estate boom. I don't know if the next real estate boom is going to be as large as back during COVID, but I think it could happen. And I think we need to really pay attention to it. So, first off, you got to look at the state of the real estate market. And I kind of touched on it a little bit, saying that affordability is going to happen. So, what do you think is going to happen when the interest rates go down another 0.5%? D. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to see an uptick of buyers coming into the market. You felt that with the going from the high sixes to the low sixes, going into the fives and being stable in there, going to make that even happen more. In fact, you should see in a buyer's excitement at new construction when they offer them 4% rates. They're mind blown. They're like, wow, 4? Feel like they're being given something. Next thing on there is what do you think is going to happen if the property taxes go away? Hmm? Yeah, more people are going to want to buy homes because they don't have to pay taxes anymore, or not the amount of taxes they used to. So, and better yet, what do you think is going to happen up in the Northeast when they find out Florida is the only state in the US with no property tax and no state income tax? They're going to want to come here in droves. Get me out of the snow, get me to sun and hurricanes. Let's go ahead and let's have this happen. So it's going to increase another buyer pool coming into Florida, wanting to move into the state. And I think we're going to see that if the property tax passes. The good news is that won't happen till later in the year in November. Probably won't take effect till 2027. Puts you in a situation where you could be ahead of the curve and buy now and ride the wave up, which is a lot better situation than being at the top riding the wave down. So I think all of those things could cause the real estate market to go up really, really fast in 2027, which makes this is the year to buy. The other thing that you got to think of too is if you're a renter, and let's just say the property tax thing passes, that's not going to impact your rent. Okay. Your rent's going to be based off current market conditions with renters looking to rent homes. Everything I've seen for property taxes is primarily focusing on those that are homesteaded, not those that are investing. So because you're renting, that means you're buying from or you're renting from a home that's invested. Therefore, their property taxes aren't going nowhere, so they're not going to change it. And in fact, there's even the chance that they might increase it slightly, depending on how local jurisdictions make their budget for next year. So there's a lot of factors going on here. The next thing is really the local market. What is Orlando known for? Most people are going to say tourism, especially if you're outside the area. Orlando is so much more than tourism. We got a thriving health industry locally. We got tech sectors. I mean, there's so much going on outside of just hospitality. Now, going and doing some research on the Orlando Economic Partnership, looking at some of their data, and this is primarily just through August. But if you look at it, okay, so here's the boom right there going up. Then it comes back down. It dipped a little bit, but look at this. We're starting to spike back up. Okay. So, and this is just gross sales. So our sales are going up. Confidence in the area is going up. This is a good thing. If you look at here, looking at our GDP, 6.8%. So we're beating the average of the nation. Now let's look at some more data. Unemployed individuals versus job openings. So we are trending roughly on the same timeline as the US, but we recently upticked to where we're ahead of the US. We're doing better. Okay. So things are moving up and up. We're trending in the right way. And then this one is looking at some of the commercial real estate vacancies in the area. Um, Industrial vacancy fell a little bit, office vacancy fell a little bit. But we got some big things going on, like the Siemens has one of the larger contracts that's going to fill 29% of the office space come this upcoming year. So we got a lot of things, leading indicators that are pushing us in the right way to where we're more than just tourism and we're not dependent on one industry in the Orlando area. And because we're not dependent on one industry, that means we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. That means people are going to want to move here because they have options. They're not moving here because they're retiring and they want to go to Disney with their grandkids. They're moving here because they have job opportunities. They're moving here because you can have a lifestyle outside of theme parks. Now, a fringe benefit is you get a discount and you can go to theme parks. But we don't have to go to a theme park to live in Orlando. We can go to beaches. Um, we can go ahead and just enjoy the different type of stuff going on. Events going on in Casselberry, events going on in Oviedo, events going on in downtown Orlando. There's so many things going on in the area. So I hope this helps. I hope you use some of this advice. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel. There's no guarantee that anything I've said here today is going to be correct, but the data points to that some of it could come to it, will come as far as I think it could. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. That's another conversation. Now, if you do want a free consultation, you can schedule a 30-minute Zoom call just by using this QR code. Okay. And we'll go ahead and talk about your future real estate needs. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make in the real estate industry is they feel it could be a DIY. Real estate changes from month to month. Each situation is different. Your Uncle Susie, your mother, your nephew, they all have things that they've done in real estate, and it doesn't mean that what happened to them fits you. It's important to have that consultation to give you an idea of the questions that you need to ask. You know, you're going to ask questions and you have somebody that's actually done it. So, you know, you don't pay a realtor to open the doors. You pay a realtor for their experience and their expertise. That's what we're paid for. And the best part is with these consultations, you get to ask me anything you want, and I'm not charging you a dime. Okay. This is just advice and a conversation. So let's go ahead and talk. So sign on up, and I hope 2026 is very prosperous for y'all. And I'll see you all later. Have a good day.